This episode of the Blerd Mob contains explicit language. While we want everyone to enjoy the show, sometimes we may say things that are not appropriate for all ages. So, in other words, Mom, Dad, Granny, we cussing. Discretion is advised.
King G, Grow Site, ENT. Rock with it, rock with it, rock with it, rock with it. Let me pop my shit. Let me pop my shit. Hands up.
What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Blerd Mob, your hub for all things black and nerdy. We're going into part 2 of our League of Legends Netflix series review of Arcane. So we're back with McMillian from Gurren Otaku Council, and Ryun is also back. So if you have not heard part 1, in part 1 we did a non-spoiler review of the series, as well as we got into some character deep dives as part as our spoiler portion. So if you have not listened to part 1, make sure you check that out. For part 2, we're going to be talking about highlights / favorite scenes from Arcane Season 1, as well as what we're expecting from Season 2. So, spoilers are ahead. If you have not seen Arcane, or if you're not finished with Arcane, please leave. Or you will know the whole season.
Spoiler warning.
Big spoiler warning.
Because I'm going into detail.
It's not even, I don't even, because this series is so good, I don't even want you to stick around to see if you'll like it. Please leave. Please leave.
You want these realizations fresh.
You want these realizations, and then come back and listen to us. Because I'm basically about to simp over the whole series. I am. But to get into the first highlight, I have to go episode 3, where Powder kills basically everybody. I guess the build up to that scene, because you have Vander. What happened before? Vander was gonna give himself up. Silco comes around, and Deckard, the guy from episode 1 that was chasing them for the stuff that they stole from Jason's apartment, it's like his first test subject of Shimmer. And he's killed Grayson, he's killed Benzo, and they took Vander. And Vi watched the whole thing happen, as well as Ekko. So Vi goes back to the last drop, she rounds up Milo and Clagger, and basically, we're about to go get Vander. And Powder, because her always looking up to her sister, she's like, okay, I'm ready. She's packing up her stuff. And Vi's like, whoa. You not going. And that's when Powder, if you listen to part 1, McMillian was talking about how Powder kind of felt like she was the one in the group that didn't have that special thing like everybody else. I think this is really where it really hit for her. That you don't find me useful enough to go save Vander.
Mm-hmm.
And so she leaves Powder, and then they go get Vander. So a couple things happen. They do get the Vander, but turns out they wanted them to get inside to get Vander. And you also see that I'm about to call her Jinx, but Powder is having basically a mental breakdown in her room about her not being able to go for being left behind. And if you remember from episode 1, she stole the blue boom booms, or the crystals. I call them the blue boom booms. And gets the great idea that I'm going to use these for one of the monkey bombs. And let's talk about how they've been foreshadowing that she's going to get these to work. And she gets them to work at the worst time. So fast forwarding, they get this Vander, this Vi Silco standoff where Vi is fighting off of all of Silco's goons. Clagger has beat a hole in the wall. Milo is getting Vander out of the little cuffs and stuff that he's in. And for a moment, you think they're gonna get away. This actually might work. And then Powder shows up. Powder shows up. She looks at this damn monkey and she was like, "You have to work. You have to work." She throws the monkey and it just slow-mo. All you see, it's the silliest ass shit. It's this monkey clapping this blue boom boom crystal stone. And it blows up. We know the impact of what it can do because of episode 1. But we're hoping that this is for another time, that this is just one of Powder's inventions that are not gonna work. But she gets it to work. I think my favorite thing about that scene is that they showed the aftermath in multiple ways.
Yes.
They showed how it affected Deckard. They show how it affected Savika. Like, we see her arm get completely obliterated. We see Milo. He gets a whole pole stuck through him. Clagger gets knocked out.
Well, rocks
Fall on top of him. Like, you're seeing all of this happen. Vi and Vander get stuck under the rubble, and then you see Powder, who's falling off the building. So they show all of the different effects that this one bomb is happening. Going forward, so Vi and Vander get out. They do their final scuffle against... Well, Vander does his final scuffle between Silco. He pups himself up with Shimmer. Saves Vi, but he dies in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Vi is distraught. And I guess that's the first time where you see the guilt-ridden side of Vi. Like, this is my fault. Because it's like, it's the domino effect. Them breaking into the apartment all the way down to Vander dying because he didn't want to give her up to the enforcers. But then the blame completely flips when Powder comes out. And I was just like, po baby. Because she comes out and she was like, it worked! You saw my bomb? It worked! And I was like, Powder. And then Vi's like, you did this? And Vi smacked the shit out of Powder. I felt that. And then she finally says the words that up to this point Vi would never say or would never admit if she ever believed it. And she's like, Milo was right. You're a Jinx. You effed all this stuff up. And she leaves her. And I was like, this is bad business. You can tell, like, the way the scene went down, how this dynamic is about to go. And I was like, this is bad business.
And I feel like the reason that scene is so prominent is because you could tell from foreshadowing, something was going to go down. The bomb was going to be intense. But you had no idea that one little crystal was going to cause so much damage. And the funniest part for me...
Here's the thing. It wasn't 1. It was 3. The one in the symbol she put... If you go back, and this is what I didn't notice the first time, if you go back and watch it, she puts 2 in its body and 1 on the symbol. The reason the blast was so bad is because she had 3 of them.
You know what? I do remember, because when she was outside, she shoved something in it, closed it up, and said, you had to work. He's right. Because what caught me off guard is when it did start doing the symbol thing. And I was like, I know she just put something inside this monkey.
Well, shoot. You just shed some light on that, but it was still funny.
She made a nuke.
Right.
And then nuke.
And then the
what she
whole
wanted
time,
was a grenade.
And she made a nuke.
And we, the audience, is seeing all this sad stuff. What was so funny to me was she's falling out the building. She's like, oh my God. It worked.
I was like,
her coming around the corner, I felt sad. Because I was like, I know how this is going to go down. when she ran around that corner, she was like, Vi, did you see it? And Vi's like, you did this? And I was like, oh, baby.
It's the age old thing. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
She wanted to do good.
And what hurt even worse is that when she started looking around and seeing like the aftermath, and she just keeps repeating, she was like, I just wanted to help. And I was like, oh, she's losing it. She is breaking down in this moment.
I thought that was such a good human response, because I was like, I think every child has done something to like that. Maybe not, obviously not that crazy, but like I think everybody in their life has been like, I wanted to help. I wanted to be the adult in this situation. I wanted to do X, Y, Z, and you're like, and you get to the person whose approval you've been waiting for, and they're like, you messed up, my guy.
You messed up big time. Or I think it's the child innocence thing, and I think it's also the wanting to prove that I am useful, that I can do something good. And I think one of the quotes, and this is not from Vi and Jinx, but the quotes of what Victor tells Jace, where everything basically went to shit, like, in the pursuit of doing great, we forgot to do good. And it's like, all she wanted to do, she wanted to be a great asset to the team. But you blew everybody up in the process.
There are steps. She was expecting, she was tired of people talking down on her, and she wanted to be great for the team. And she forgot in the process of that, you're being too hard on yourself. You a kid. Yeah. Even because like Vi said, you young. Granted, I mean, when I was your age, I was doing stuff, but my path isn't your path.
Yeah. You know? Or when she set her down. And that's another scene that I like between Vi and Jinx, is when she took on the roof and she was showing her all of the places where Milo and Clagger had their mishaps during missions. Like, you're not the only one that has bad days. So, you know, like you said, don't beat yourself up about it and don't let it get to your head. Because we all have bad days. But I think it was just that undying need for her to prove herself.
Yeah, and then this, on top of the fact that this is a super important mission that they're going, like, this is our father we're talking about here, and you don't trust me enough to help save our dad. Like, that would hurt anybody, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Regardless.
And the fact, I think the other thing that I forgot to mention is that Vi told her that she wasn't ready. I think that if anything, that may have motivated her the most to disobey Vi and go down there anyway. Like, what do you mean I'm not ready?
And it also shows that issue of, like, when you spoil a child, like, there's signs of Vi always spoiling Powder at that stage. Like, everybody else complain, like, y'all, you see how Powder is, Vi, and she's like, no, I'ma take control for her. And it's like, well, you're gonna take the blame for her. And it's like, oh, you finally tell her no once. You think she's gonna listen after being told yes and being defended for so freaking long?
That's another good point.
The end result.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, but that scene's great. It's horrible.
It was,
but in the worst
it
ways.
Was bad. When I tell you I didn't breathe watching that whole sequence, that was the scene, my first go around, that was like, okay, I have to keep watching this. Because even after that, you have Silco, who's taking Powder. And up to this point, we know that Silco is bad news. And we have Marcus that snatches up Vi, and I was like, okay, what are you about to do with Vi? So the next highlight I want to talk about is when Vi and Jinx reunite. And we talked about this in part 1, but starting off with when they first reunite, and you get that sense of Jinx is more so, I guess we see the Powder side of Jinx. That's what I'm going to say. when she finally gets the Vi and, you know, they hug or whatever. And she was like, I thought you were dead and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, well, you know. And then Caitlyn shows up and then
See how both
boom, we're back Jinx.
Hmm.
And now she's hearing all of these voices. Savika has gotten into her head. And on top of that, so Caitlyn's like, your sister is Jinx. And Jinx is like, you're working with a force. And then Vi was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I just broke out of jail like a day ago. Like, let's slow down.
Right.
Let's slow down a minute. And then on top of that, the Firelight show up. So now they're engaged in this whole big battle. And I want to say that I thought it was nice to see them fight side by side. It touched me. I was like, oh, this is nice. Like seeing them fight side by side as sisters. And it immediately turns dark when Jinx does take it too far. Because Vi's just, you know, she's fighting, but she's not fighting to kill. She's just fighting because people are attacking her. Jinx is busting people in the face. And this was going into my thing that I was talking about with Vi's denial. Like, you definitely see Jinx going way too far. Like, she hit the guy with the gun, and then she just kept going. And it's like, that's enough. It's enough. But it did finally give Vi some insight into what everybody was saying. Because she had been in denial up to that point. She still was after, but that was her first experience seeing Jinx as Jinx. Because when they told her, because when she ran into Savika during their first fight, she was like, where's my sister? Where's Powder? And Savika's like, you talking about Jinx? And she wouldn't call her that. Like, I don't know this Jinx person. I'm looking for my sister, Powder. And then Jinx shows her who Jinx is, and then it's like, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. But it was like one of those family reunions that you know is gonna go wrong. Yeah. Like one of those ticking time bomb reunions, because you know, we already knew that Caitlyn was behind Vi, so it was only a matter of time until she showed up. Plus, with the stuff that Savika had told Jinx before, I was like, this is definitely gonna blow up. This is not the sister reunion that we were all expecting.
Yeah, no, that was bound to go wrong. It was beautiful. I like the fact that we got the beauty with the bad, though, because it was nice at first, like you pointed out, and then just slowly it escalated into chaos.
It did. It escalated, and then it got complicated. Because when the Firelight showed up, then it just made it even more complicated. Because then they started aggravating Jinx. She's already she's already losing her shit because Savika was right. And then these Firelights show up, and she doesn't like the Firelight. So now all of this. So.
Just that was a disaster.
That was a nice scene. So the next scene I want to talk about, I want to go to episode 7. And this is Ekko versus Jinx. So we see Ekko grown up, and they've made their own community for themselves. And he escorts Vi and Caitlyn back to the bridge. Of course, Jinx is there. She blows everybody on the bridge up. And her and Ekko face off. So what I found weird about it, but then I started to enjoy, is that they're having like this Western standoff. And he pulls out a clock. And I'm just like, okay. But it starts ticking. This music starts coming up. And then Jinx starts playing along with them. And this is what I like about Jinx, is that though she's crazy enough to indulge, because as we've seen with other interactions with Jinx, had this been anybody else, I feel like she would have just straight up shot him. Like, you wouldn't even have time to do your little, to even pull out the watch, to even do your thing. She would have got you so fast you wouldn't have even had time to think about it. But I think because she knew Ekko and she knew what that meant, she was like, okay, I'll play along. I'll indulge.
I was telling Foop earlier, this is my favorite scene of the whole show because of how much is said without any words in this scene. Because at first, the first time I watched it, I interpreted when they turned into kids as just like a predictive type of like, this is how the fight could go type thing. But then I rewatched it and I realized with some added context, and this is the only like gripe I have, because in the music video for the theme song for the show, they show a little bit of Ekko and Jinx's interactions before the show happens, like how close they were as friends. And I wish they had put some of that in the show and just in this music video. But I was able on my second watch to realize, oh, this is a fight that has context through flashback of this is a game they used to play where Ekko used to try his best to get to Jinx without getting hit, and if he got hit, he lost. And I was like, there's so much here of like how close, not only like just like how not just like for this fight, but like their relationship of like how close they used to be before all this happened, and like what they used to probably mean to each other. And now you're putting them in this messed up situation. Also, that the song they play for is probably like fits so perfectly well to the whole situation too. And the whole thing is just great. And even like up to the point at the end where Ekko gets to her and they're fighting, and for a moment there, you really think he's about to end her, and then he looks at her in the face, and
he hesitates.
You can tell in his eyes, and even in hers for a moment, that all they see is that friend that they used to have in the playground. And Jinx, obviously being herself, is the first one to come out of that daydream and mess and basically end it all.
I think the fact that he even chose, like, that was his battle method shows that there's still some connection, like, there. For the fact for him, because they literally could have just went at it, like they have been. But, and I think that's the other thing I liked about the scene, that this was, because the other times that the Firelights and Ekko have interacted with Jinx, they've always had the mask on. It's never been personal because Jinx doesn't know who they are. They're just the Firelights. But Ekko taking his mask off and facing her, and that was his battle choice, made this battle very personal. Because
so
before that, because before that, he's explaining to Vi about all the people that they've lost due to Silco and due to Jinx being who she is now. So him to finally face her on that level, I was like, they're about to get it in. So when the animation changed,
Ryun want to say something? I think Ryun wants to say something real quick.
Oh, what's up, Ryan?
Oh, no, you can keep going.
I was just going to say, and I'll make it real quick so you can say your spiel, Ryan. But when the animation changed, I was almost a tad bit upset because I thought they were about to cheat us out of this. I was like, no. But through the animation, you start seeing the story, like how McMillian was saying that this was a game that they used to play. And then the game that Ekko always lost. And when they rewind it back and we actually got to the battle, one, I like the fact that they cut the music.
Oh, like they
cut the music choice. And I was like, yeah, it's time to put in the work. This was the Gon versus Hisoka type moment where your eyes are glued to you cannot miss this. And he ran up and he got her. I was like, okay, you guys executed this so well. What you were about to say, Ron?
I was actually going to say this scene actually pulled on my emotional heartstrings more than episode 3, because the entire time I was wondering where Ekko was, because that character honestly did interest me. and to get that revelation, like, oh, this is who he is, this is what he did, this is how much he's accomplished from being that little kid that's just spying on it. Well, not necessarily spying on everybody, but got like his eyes and ears everywhere. And to see that relationship between him and Jinx, it it touched me. I when I seen him like have that glimpse of like, oh, I thought she is. I still see that little girl. It almost made me think of. It made me think about the scene where he's convincing Vi like Jinx has changed, and it shows how much pain he had in his heart from that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jinx going through this whole phase of going from Powder to Jinx, it affected a lot of people. Nobody, like everybody in the Undercity, even though they had their issues, they stuck together, and you see that play out because he was definitely hurt at the things that she was doing.
I
Nobody
wanna
wanted to just hurt Powder.
I wanted to touch on what you were saying with it hitting him the hardest, because you could kind of tell when he's trying to tell Vi that Jinx is Powder is no longer Powder. You can see that he's getting a little bit frustrated about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That he has to keep saying it. And anytime you see somebody getting frustrated saying the same thing over and over again, it's hurting them in a way that this cut deep. Like, listen to me what I'm trying to tell you, because he's experienced firsthand. And I think that's the other thing that led to his frustration. He's experienced firsthand what Jinx can do. Because
Mm.
what was that? Episode 4, when they do the time skip,
When you
how
see the
Jinx
fire, yeah.
let loose on that airship, he lost 2 to 3 people in
Yeah.
that one situation due to Jinx. And there's no telling how many people he's lost before that, but this is just what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm honestly eager to see more of the Firelights in season 2, because it seems like that battle has been ongoing for a minute. Like, I want to see if Ekko started the entire like militia group, like the militant group. I want to see if he necessarily started, or did someone else start and he just followed along. Actually,
I
that
think it's
group
implied
interested
that
me.
he made
Yeah,
it himself.
it
I
sounded
think
like he
that's
did it.
yeah.
Mm.
They may have not
Especially
been
because
as advanced as they were when we see them, but
yeah, because I was saying, especially since I think it was revealed that he's the one that made their whole like
Their
their
little
motif in the
hoverboard.
first place. They made the boards, so he probably is responsible for it. But I would like to see how things continue for them in season 2.
I honestly feel like they're going to be in danger. And this is why I say this, and this is kind of going towards season 2. With Jinx nuking everybody,
Oh yeah, everybody's gonna be on edge.
everybody's going to be edge, and at this point it's going to be war against the Undercity. I think the part that hit hardest is that what the council was doing while the nuke was on the way. They had all agreed to broker a peace with the Undercity, and Jinx just nuked their ass. Any hope that they ever had from making peace with the Undercity, or for the Undercity to ever get some support from Piltover, has just went in the drain.
Yep.
And because Silco's dead, and I feel like they might go after the Firelights because of how Silco and Jinx have been setting up their plays to blame the Firelights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. They might be in danger, but I will say, regardless of everything, that's
That'd
the
be
scene. This
interesting to
scene
see.
specifically, I felt like was the creme de la creme for me. Besides what happened in episode 9, but this is my personal favorite scene because such a good, I think, example of how you tell a story without dialogue at all,
Mm-hmm.
and just straight visual.
So the
So
next
do y'all?
highlight I wanted to get into was Vi and Jace's raid, and Jace unalives the child. Going in, it was like, okay, this is a raid. But once the the shimmer bots, whatever you want to call them. They got the mechs, the shimmer mechs. Yeah, once the shimmer mechs got involved, I was like, okay, somebody's gonna get hurt. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be a kid. I was like, okay, people on both sides are about to take hits, and they were.
Yeah.
And then Jace pulls out this hammer laser thing, and he's just going at it, and I was just like,
yeah, he's trying to hit one of the dudes.
He's gonna hit somebody he's not supposed to hit. And he did. And he hit the kid. But I think what hit hard for me in that scene is he hits the kid. We watch him for a few seconds. When he falls over and they have you watch his body picking up speed to the ground, I was like, oh no. And they show it. They make you watch him pick up speed until he finally hits the ground. And I think that set the gravity of what they were doing. Like, this is what happens when you fight fire with fire.
Yeah, and what I really like about that scene specifically, besides like Jace's whole like, this is wrong, what I like is this is a direct parallel to whole Silco's hostile takeover of the Undercity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where Silco basically systematically took out the highest, like the highest representative for them, who was making peace with the people up top. Vi went straight for like, we need to take this out at any cost. And then when the child dies, she's just like, that happens. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, do you not see who you are representing like right now? Like,
but
I thought it was such a good moment.
I couldn't get mad at that though. I felt like that was true to character.
No.
It was definitely
I
true
wasn't
to
mad.
character.
I wasn't mad, but I'm saying like, I was like, I feel like if she could see herself, she wouldn't like what she was doing.
But I think my thing about Vi is that Vi has been angry for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Even the intro to episode 1, when Vander takes her and Powder and they're walking away from the enforcers, you see her face contort into one of anger. And that anger lives through her for a very long time. And she just directs that anger at whoever. And in this case, it was Silco, and she channeled that anger so much that seeing this kid die was just like, okay, next stop.
Yeah, I just think it's a good look at just like how much this is affecting her, because I think like the best example of like how much the rage is blinding her. The first thing she does, like the almost immediately first thing she does, is find Savika and beat the shit. Like they beat the shit. They scrap. Yeah,
they scrap. And that was my next highlight. Vi versus Savika Part 2, because they fought once, but this was nasty. They
fought till Violet destroyed one of her fists.
Right, she broke one of the fists, and they collided so hard that they knocked the lights out of the last drop, as well as the surrounding buildings. And I love that scene so much, is because all you see is purple and blue flashes going back and forth in the bar. And I was like, they are scrapping. They are scrapping.
I think one of my favorite moments from that fight is when they're no longer fighting, and Vi is just like, she takes a drink, smashes it. I was like, hey,
and she threw it at Savika. And then
I was like, this is such a perfect, like, this is so just like, it's not even like an actual fight. This is just like, you are mad.
This is just anger. I'm fighting you because I'm pissed off. And then she immediately screamed. Immediately after that, you remember she threw up that pool table and socked that hole across the room? I was like, you guys, at this point, you're letting off steam. You're letting off steam.
They weren't even mad at each other at that point. They was just mad at the situation.
I don't even think Savika was upset. I think Savika just wanted she wanted Vi. Like she walked in.
She wanted to be done with this.
Yeah. Nobody else is gonna fight. She made everybody leave. You know what? Y'all ain't gotta handle. I'll handle this. Vi was like, I'm pissed. I'm finna beat your ass.
The only reason she won is because she got lucky too.
Yeah. When she got that shield, she did that shield thing. I was
even
like,
know that was an ability.
Exactly. Just did that. That just made the perfect opening. But if that
I'm glad she didn't hesitate though. Because when she saw it, she was shocked. And I was like, okay, don't stay shocked for too long. And she didn't. She ripped the arm off and punched her into that jukebox. And I was like, yes. You settled the score. I like that she settled the score because she had already been upset that Savika had betrayed Vander.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I'm glad you got your lick back. Which leads into my next favorite moment, because immediately after Vi beats Savika, had Jinx been watching the whole time? Had she just shown up? We'll never know. But she creeps up behind Jinx. And she was like, congratulations, sis. Or some shit she said. And pistol whips her. And she blacks out. And I was like, nice. So then
nice.
Nice. So then Vi wakes up and I just want to say this was Jinx's Joker moment to me. From the setting to everything going forward. One, she takes Vi back to the building that she blew up, that she blew to smithereens, where everybody died. The setting that basically sent them in two different directions. This is where Vi and Powder died. She brings them back. She brings her back there. And then she turns her around and she's at this fancy dinner party. Silco's at the under end of the table.
Strapped
up. You have these two personalities. You have an empty Powder chair or an empty Jinx chair. And then I was like, so episode 8, you already know that she kidnapped Caitlyn. And I was like, oh my god, what did she do to Caitlyn? Where is Caitlyn? And she... So this is the fake out. She was like, yeah, I made your girlfriend into a snack. I was like, yo, if she pulls that plate open and shows any piece of Caitlyn, this has gotten extremely dark.
The illusion is over.
I knew it was.
The illusion is over.
Bro.
Like, this is no longer your sister.
I knew it was going to be Caitlyn's head. I just knew it. I knew it was going to be a severed head sitting on that plate.
I thought it was going to be her head, her body parts, or something. But because I want to make this Jinx Joker correlation, there was a part of me that knew it was going to be a fake out. That she was just trying to psych her out. Which she did, because it was just a cupcake. But I was like, yo, waiting up into that moment, I was like, it's either going to be something stupid, or she really didn't cut this girl head off. But the whole thing just gave me Joker vibes. And the negotiation, where it was like, yeah, if you kill her right now, I'll be Powder. That's what you want, right? And I was like, you're seeing... That was the moment where Vi was finally seeing like the consequences of her actions. And it was like, but this is what you wanted, right? And it's like, yeah, but no.
Yeah.
But no. And it leads up to... So Caitlyn gets free. And I think we talked about this. No, we didn't talk about this. So Jinx is now reincarnated Jinx. And now her eyes are not blue. And she's been pumped up with shimmer. So Caitlyn... She done knocked out Caitlyn, and now it's Silco and Vi yelling at her, trying to pull them to each other's side. Like, this is Vi's last attempt to get Powder back, and this is Silco's attempt to keep Jinx on his side. And Jinx is having a mental breakdown. I have no idea what's going to come out of this. Like, this can go one or two ways. One with her holding this machine gun in her hand. This can go one or two ways. And she ends up killing Silco.
Silco made the decision very easy because he picked
up
the gun.
He did pick up the gun and unalived his ass too. But I think when she realized what she did, that's when I was like another
But what I really like about that scene specifically is when she realized what she did, the choice is made because she realizes herself, I'm too far gone. It's not Vi, it's not anybody else in that room. It's her that is like, I am what I am. There's no stopping it now.
I like what she does after that. So after Silco says his last words, she lets her final tears go out, and you see her face.
Oh, such a good scene too.
Her face change like that. It's the realization that you were talking about, and she raps. It's like a insane type moment, and she gets up, dusts her chair off, her Jinx chair. And she sits down, and she was like, I thought you could love me the way you used to. But it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And she
gets up, picks up.
She fires her nuke up.
Picks up the X core, walks outside.
And I like that Silco's first words to her echoes in her head, like, we'll show them. We're gonna show them all. And I was like, that scene was so good. There was so much going on because, like I said, what the council was doing before that, and I was like, Jinx is about to kill everybody.
The perfect illustration, I feel like, for like how bittersweet a moment it is. If we back up and move from our titular sisters to the council, and Mel in her head is fighting against wanting to be with her family, who we know are like warmonger type. The way we lead a nation is with an iron fist, and then her always having a desire to try and solve things a more alternative route through talking and negotiations. Mm-hmm. She took off her family's crest ring, set it on the table, and was like, let's try and work the shit out. And immediately after,
that's what I'm saying,
shit hits the window, and I'm like, wow.
I think it's the fact that Jinx made a nuke, because when she first shoots it, it's just this bullet bill. That's what it looked like, a bullet bill. Mm-hmm. And then it expanded, and then it expanded again, and I was like,
you see the arcane fire coming out of it and all that.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh.
I mean, it was like fire. Yeah.
Like the thing that they had been wanting. I think the thing that they had been wanting this whole time, for peace between the Undercity and Piltover, was finally happening. And Jinx just ruined
it.
It truly thing.
I think it's but I think the bigger part of it is like you're finally acknowledging these people after years, and this is kind of your comeuppance, really.
She definitely just set them back.
But I'm saying, like, you ignored the problem for so long.
Yeah.
And now look what's happening.
Yeah.
You met us with violence, so now we meet you with violence. You know what I'm saying?
And you got to look at the people who witnessed it too. The only witnesses were Vi and Caitlyn. And so I wonder, like, for one thing, it's two things. I wonder if the council, did all of them actually die? Like, of course we can assume, but we've seen shows do like twists and turns on stuff like that. For all we know, half of them could be alive, just hurt.
We know our pretty boy is still alive. At
Yeah,
least that's the only character I'm sure in that room who is still alive. Victor,
they probably
maybe
let Mel go out,
depending on
I don't know
how reinforced that hex cord.
Oh yeah, I forgot he had that because I was like, yeah, he was on his last leg, so that explosion might have took him out. But that's actually something else to interesting to see because we know that the core reacts to his blood. So now that he's infused,
and it has been
with
altering this entire time. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
You said what?
You said the core
it continued to alter over and over time.
Yeah.
Right.
So my whole thing is, if some of the members of the council are still alive, how are they even what are they gonna take from hearing Vi? Because I'm assuming Vi and Caitlyn are just gonna go back and be like, hey, we're so sorry.
No,
we tried to stop Jinx, blah, 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 blah.
I don't think that. I think they're gonna try and help see who survived first, if anything. That's probably gonna be Caitlyn's like immediate reaction, like, because my mom's in that room. Like,
exactly. Yeah. And I want to see how strained that relationship gets from all of that.
That's me. One of my things for season 2, based on the cliffhanger. Well, we know they get blown up. We just don't know. My things for season 2, to go ahead and get into it. I need to know who survived. I want to know what else did Jinx nuke affect. Was it just the council building, or did she take half of Piltover with it? Because it's a nuke. It's a nuke. What happens to the Undercity now? Depending on who's missing from the council, the animosity could just start back up again tenfold.
Yeah, cause
and it may not just be like you guys stay on your side, we'll stay on our side. This may be like pure hatred.
Oh no, it's war now. Look, man, look. I'm gonna tell you this: if they took Jace's chocolate drop, he killing everybody.
His chocolate drop.
If his little chocolate drop dead, it's over with.
If they took his Hershey's Kisses, it's over.
He bringing that hammer back out with the quickness.
With the quickness.
Look, this gonna be his villain arc if she dead.
Yeah.
But
and then my other 2 questions was like, what's the dynamic going to be with between Caitlyn and Vi now? And what would depend on that question is if her mother survived. I don't think that Caitlyn would have, their dynamic would have too much of an issue if her mother survived. But if her mother definitely died, that's definitely going to strain the relationship.
I really feel like almost for that reason alone is probably our answer. But this show has surprised me in a lot of ways, so I'm gonna wait to see what exactly happens. But
I could also see the relationship being strained. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, McMillian. But
no, go ahead.
I could also see the relationship being strained if Caitlyn gets upset, because when she did get Jinx's gun, Vi told her not to shoot Jinx. She told her to back down. And because she backed down, Jinx got the upper hand and knocked her out. And then everything else went down the way that it did. So I could see that being a strain on the relationship. If you had just got your head out of your ass and saw that your sister is not your sister anymore, this would not have happened.
Not be an issue. But hey, I think for me, for season 2, what I am looking forward to, I'm trying. Besides what you just said, because I am excited to see what the ramifications of the nuke are, and how that is going to affect our main characters moving forward. But I'm also interested to see what Heimdallr's tutelage for Ekko means.
Yep.
What that might lead to. Also, another thing is with Jinx cracking Hex Tech in terms of like weaponry for the Undercity, what this war, because I'm pretty sure war is going to result from this, is going to look like
definitely
moving forward. Because she probably, as smart as Jinx is to have like cracked Hex Tech in like less than 2 days, she probably can get other people weaponry.
Yeah.
So.
And Jace has his advanced weaponry as well too.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like
that
I'm wondering.
Hammer and those gauntlets.
I'm wondering with the whole chaos with Topside, if more people are going to get their hands on Arcane and what's going to come of that. I mean, not Arcane, Hextech, and what's going to become of the Piltover in general.
I feel
like that's probably going to come from season 2.
I could almost see it as Jinx not even being if the Undercity got access to Hextech weaponries, I can see Jinx not being remotely involved because that side of the politics, Jinx wasn't interested in that. She was making weapons, yes, but as far as when the weapons were being used and the negotiations and all of the other like business level stuff, that was all Silco.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I feel like I don't know if I'm not saying like she'd make it, but I'm saying like the chaos that she has created from doing so, I feel like will trickle down into some people in the Undercity getting their hands on it, and essentially.
I can almost see it as her just abandoning the Undercity because we don't know where she went. She shut off the nuke and she left. So we don't know where she went. It could be that they infiltrate the last drop, or they even find like her workshop and they just take the scraps of what she was working on and then make that into weaponry.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of routes this to go. Honestly, the way they left it off. But I really do feel like, I don't know, if she's anywhere, she might be with Cinder, the doctor guy.
That is another.
That's the
route.
only place I think she might
see that happening.
Might have went, right, at least right now. But yeah, season 2 got. I'm ready to see everything you mentioned in the stuff I said because it's a lot. You can't. I hope they get more episodes because I'm gonna need more than 9.
Yo, and so I call all 9 when they release, but apparently they have been releasing 3 episodes over the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I waited till everything was out. I mean, that wasn't my intention, but I'm glad like that's when I started when everything.
Yeah, that wasn't my intention either. I thought they had dropped the whole series as it is, and I was talking to a coworker at work about, I started Arcane and it's really good, and she was like, "Oh, so they released all the episodes," and I was like, "Did they not release all the episodes at the same time?" But they have been releasing them in acts. So the first 3 episodes was Act 1, then Act 2, and Act 3.
Makes sense.
So it's been confirmed for season 2. Apparently, and I saw this on TikTok, but apparently they already have voice recordings for some of the scenes that's going to be in season 2 as far as the trailer. So I don't know if that means that season 2 is coming really soon, or if they just had a little snippet that they could give us, because now we're all simps for Arcane. But I'm definitely excited. I might be watching season 1 until season 2 comes out.
I do got to give it a second rewatch.
It's definitely worth the second rewatch for those who have watched the full season and haven't watched it again. I think when I watched it the second time, nothing fell flat. I felt the same emotions and the same intensity the second time as I did the first time.
Yeah.
So that was everything I had for Arcane. Is there anything that you guys wanted to discuss that we missed or you wanted to touch on?
No, I think that we got everything. Also, the memes have been hilarious / also dark, which I appreciate.
The memes have been hilarious.
I could see myself really liking Mel's mom. She's probably the one character that I really have my eyes on.
She's
Funny.
presence. Can we talk presence? Presence.
That woman. I really liked her character.
She overtakes a room when she walks in.
For only being in an episode and a half, I really enjoyed her character.
Presence is the word. And going to season 2, I would like to see more of her. If she survived, and if Chocolate Drop survived, and I feel like that would be a contender for Mel to survive. Because now she has to hear her mother be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Especially now they're about to go to war. About her so much.
Right. So I could see the main members of the council surviving, and I could see the ones that were there but we didn't really get insight into dying off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I could see. That Jace, Caitlyn's mother is up in the air. It depends on what they want to do with that dynamic. But Mel and Victor, because of his magical enhancements, I can see those 4 surviving. And the rest of them just bye.
You think Victor's gonna have like a villain arc, like after killing his?
I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be evil, but I do think if he continues with the mutate, like trying to make himself survive through the hex tech mutations that he's causing on himself, I think people are going to perceive him as evil regardless.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a lot of
I think they would, because, not to interrupt you, Ron, but I could see that happening because let's go after the aftermath. Once the nuke blows up, if they start investigating, and if Jay survives, I think he would be the only one to recognize that this could only happen with Hex Tech. Mm-hmm. So now everybody's up in arms against Hex Tech because this is what the Undercity could make with it. And if they find out about Victor's experiments, and with the fact that he used Shimmer in the process, I could see them turning against him and seeing him as a villain in that retrospect.
Yeah, I don't think he himself would. I think he'd be like a tragic hero, but...
Or he might. Or he may just get sick. He may advance himself so much, it's like, I don't care.
True. I mean, I think it could play either way, but I'm just saying, like, what he's shown me so far, I don't know if he turned evil himself, but I do think...
I was just saying, we've seen the trope to where somebody with Victor's...
The mad scientist. Yeah.
The mad scientist gets too far in the experiment.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I said, I can't wait for season 2.
And I think, yeah, I think he's gotten to the point where it could go either way. With him, Thanos snapping Sky, it's a will he or won't he?
Yeah.
I think something else to note is that after he unalived Sky, he told Jace to destroy the Hex Core. Well, now that Jinx has blown up everybody, they may not destroy it. And that might lead to some stuff.
Also, the former leader of the council, now that he got this relationship with Ekko, is he finna start working with the firelights, or he's finna be on the Undercity side? I want to see what he does.
That's what I said. I'm wondering what they're gonna do together, because I feel like that's gonna lead to something big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Ekko's already shown to be semi-intelligent for even making that little hoverboard thing, so they might have like a little
he
science.
Said semi.
What is semi-intelligence, Ryan?
No, not semi-intelligent, but like it's like it's alluding to the fact that Ekko is pretty good for good with his hands and know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like we already know that the former leader of the council is pretty much like 300-year-old genius or whatever.
Mr. Hamsterville. Y'all remember that man from Kim Possible? Dr. Hamsterville. No.
I think I know what you're talking about, but it's been a while.
It's the evil. Oh, it's not from Kim Possible. It's from Lilo and Stitch. It's the little evil hamster that wanted to get all the aliens.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
I picked the wrong cartoon. That's why nobody knew what I was talking about. But it's it's the evil hamster from Lilo and Stitch. But that's all I had for the Arcane review. I want to thank you both for being here for part 1 and part 2. I thoroughly enjoyed this series, and I'm glad that I got to talk about it. For those listening or watching, make sure you follow us on social media. On Instagram, we are the Blerd Mob Pod. That's at TheBlerdMobPod. We're on Twitter at the Blerd Mob. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Blerd Mob Podcast. You can also find McMillian, Gurren Otaku Council. What's you guys' handles, McMillian?
We're on Instagram at Gurren Otaku Council. That's GURRENOTAKUCOUNCIL. Long name, I know. On Twitter, we're the Gurren we're just Gurren Otakus. GURRENOT. Jesus. Oh.
You got messed up Ryan throwing that phone up in the camera.
KUS. That's our handles.
And what about you, Ron? Where can they find you at?
You know what I'm saying? I ain't got my own individual platform yet, but follow me on Instagram at Ryan Moore _RYUNMOORE_symbol.
All right, y'all. Make sure you check them out. And this is the mob checking out. Peace.
Hands up if you loving where you at. Stand 10 toes down. Shawty ain't no looking mad. You can let them haters hate.